don't mention it enough, I went to film school. Oh yeah, baby. Technically I graduated a couple months ago, but I did the official ceremony and the pomp and circumstance a couple days ago, and I paid like $30 for this hat, and now I have no reason to wear it ever again. And the funny thing is, while I was in film school, I really didn't like watching movies that much. I was mostly just into YouTube. And now that I finally graduated and I'm no longer obligated to watch like 10 hours of movies per week, I've like rediscovered my love for movies, and now I'm doing it in my free time. I feel like a lot of people go through that once they graduate from school. They realize that they like actually enjoyed learning, but like being in school ruins learning somehow because it just makes it horrible and stressful. I feel like that's the unique power of the American educational system, is to just crush any existing passion you had for a topic. So today I've compiled a list of my favorite films of all time, and I'm just gonna geek out about them, to be honest. If you haven't watched these movies, I'm gonna tell you all the reasons that you should watch them, and if you have watched these movies, I'm also gonna talk about like my favorite themes and shots and acting from all these movies. So it'll be like a little Ashley's movie Oscars. Now let's get on started. Let's go ahead and get lit. You guys know what I mean. So my first film is Avengers and Game. No, I'm kidding. I'm a fucking film student. I'm way too pretentious for that mainstream shit. My first film is Sorry to Bother You. Sorry to Bother You takes place in this alternate satirical universe in a world stricken by low raises, high unemployment, and rampant capitalism. Sound familiar, folks? The film follows Cassius Green, who's struggling to pay rent. He's a telemarketer, and he discovers that the secret to his professional success is to turn on his white voice.
You want to make some money here? Use your white voice.
My white voice?
I'm not talking about Will Smith's wife, like this young blood.
Hey, Mr. Kramer, this is Langston from Regal View.
That earns him a promotion and propels him into this world of money and greed, and he has to battle with his morals. Okay, so reasons I love this movie. First of all, the costume design and production design make this movie worth watching alone. They did such an amazing job of creating this 70s meets modern day aesthetic. It's so colorful, it's so well put together. The whole world of this movie looks like a Janelle Monáe music video in the best way possible. Second of all, this movie gives you so much to think about after you're done watching, and that is my favorite type of movie. Like, after you're done, all you want to do for the next 3 hours is look up video essays and like Reddit forums, analyzing it and breaking it down. But at the same time, it's also just a really entertaining and funny film. I like to think of this film as like a modern day Animal Farm. It's like a satirical commentary on modern day capitalism, but I mean that in the least like heady and pretentious way possible. You know, it's not like the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, kids. It talks about American culture and the pressures that a lot of us feel to earn a bunch of money and to climb this corporate ladder, no matter what our morals are, in a very personal and empathetic way. And I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to, especially like at this point in my life. I'm 21, and I feel like when I was in high school, everybody I knew was kind of borderline communist. Everybody was like, the rich should be taxed like crazy. Yes, of course I'm gonna work for a charity and I'm not gonna sell out. And now all those same people are like trying to pay rent and pay off student debt, so they're working on Wall Street for some Fortune 500 corporation. I mean, same for me. I basically work for YouTube, and Google owns YouTube. I'm just making money for a mega corporation like everybody else, which is something I don't want to think about too much. Point is, this movie talks about how our culture is so focused on making money and having a prestigious job, and especially for men, feeling this source of masculinity and sexual attractiveness based on how much you earn. Sorry to Bother You also has a really interesting critique of the different ways that, especially African Americans, but generally people of different races, are expected to act in different social situations. So our main character literally has to put on his white voice in order to advance through the professional ranks. But like when he's at a party with a bunch of white people, then they want him to be this stereotypical rapper black dude, and he's not that either. So he's like forcing himself into these two different identities. I like related to that in a different way. Obviously, I have not experienced the particular struggles and the particular discrimination of being African American, right? But I am half white and half Asian. When I was younger, there was like an Asian friend group and a white friend group at my school. And when I was with the white friend group, I like never wanted to bring noodles to school because I was so embarrassed that it wasn't like a sandwich or some like normal white kid snack. And I was so embarrassed to ask my friends to take off their shoes in my house. And then when I was with the Asian friend group, I felt like kind of a phony because I felt like I still wasn't Asian enough for them. Yeah, just please watch this movie. It has so many interesting themes. As you guys might be able to tell by my bangs, I am that bitch who's been obsessed with 500 Days of Summer since I was like 13 years old. Okay? I love that movie with my heart and soul. 500 Days of Summer is the only movie that I have bought on iTunes, and I have rewatched it so many times. Every time I go through a heartbreak, every time I'm not sure what to do in a romantic situation, every time I'm on my period, which is a lot, I'm watching that movie. 500 Days of Summer is a bit of an unconventional rom-com that follows Tom, a hopeless romantic who's been looking for the girl of his dreams his entire life, and Summer, who believes that love is like Santa Claus and it doesn't really exist. And the movie follows 500 days of their relationship. It gets messy, they like break up, there's ups and downs, there's fights. The reason this movie is one of my favorite rom-coms, other than the fact that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it, is that this movie has grown with meaning as I've gotten older. When I first watched it, I was in middle school, and I really took it at face value that, oh, Summer's an asshole for breaking Tom's heart, and poor Tom, he has to go chase after her. And I was rooting for the hopeless romantic Tom because he was the guy who wanted to get the girl, and that was the happy ending that I had been taught my entire life. I think when we're younger and in our first relationship, we're all kind of like Tom. We all project this ultra romantic ideal of somebody perfect onto somebody who's frankly not perfect. I feel like as I've grown up and after you experience heartbreak and shit, I feel like we all become more and more like Summer. And I come to realize that Tom isn't like this perfect romantic hero. He's kind of a guy clinging onto a relationship that didn't work. So I think it's a really interesting film to watch, and especially at different points at your life, and you can really understand like more and more about the characters. Also, just stylistically, I think this movie does some really, really cool kind of meta editing effects. You'll have to watch the movie to see exactly what I mean, but I like that it really plays with some like experimental techniques. It's also just like my favorite movie to reference ever, so watch that movie and then you'll get all my 500 Days of Summer references in my videos. Next up, we have The Double, which is a movie that pretty much nobody I know has ever watched. It is so underrated, but it is, if I had to pick one, I think my favorite movie of all time. The Double tells the story of this shy, nervous office worker whose life is turned upside down when a doppelganger arrives at his office.
I'd like to introduce everyone to our newest co-worker. Please welcome James Simon.
His doppelganger looks exactly like him, but his personality is the exact opposite. He's everything that Simon wishes that he could be. He's charismatic, he is outgoing, he gets recognized at his job. He's also very good with the ladies and manages to seduce Simon's love interest. His doppelganger starts off being his friend, but then slowly begins to take over Simon's life, and he has to find a way to get rid of him. This film is another one of those movies that leaves you like completely mind-fucked at the end. It is so trippy, it leaves you with so much to think about. It talks about social anxiety and identity, and I'd say like the main takeaway of this film is feeling like you're this small invisible person and wishing that you could be charismatic and outgoing, but you don't know how to be that person. I don't know, I relate to the main character a lot, even though I'm like seem, I guess, charismatic online and I like talk to a lot of people. Like in real life I'm pretty awkward, so I find the main character very endearing.
Do you really think she's looking at me? Yeah. All right, now lick your lips. Yeah. What? Show the tongue, but be careful not to look like a lizard. Go.
Also, gotta give it to Jesse Eisenberg. He's like my favorite actor ever, and in this movie he plays the main character and the antagonist, so there's just double Jesse Eisenberg, which is really all I could ask for. My next film, or should I say set of films, is Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. These films follow the story of a boy and a girl who meet on a train in Europe, and they just strike up a conversation and spontaneously decide to get off the train and spend one night together in the city. The first film, Before Sunrise, is when they first meet, then the next film is 10 years later, and the next film is 10 years later after that. So seen together, they're a really interesting snapshot of a relationship. It really tripped me out the first time I watched all three of them because I felt like I had seen my life flash before my eyes. You know, in the first film, they're like 20, they're really young, they're just having fun in a city together. Later, we see them in their 30s and their 40s, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm gonna be that old one day. I'm really excited to watch these films again when I'm 30 and when I'm 40 because I feel like I'll relate to the characters in new ways. Anyways, I love that these films feel very authentic is a cheesy word, but the writing and the acting is so nuanced, and there's like these little things that make it feel like real life. There's a scene where they're on the train and like the guy is like nervous and he's like trying to reach for the girl's hair to like make a move on her, but like she puts her hair back before he can get to it, and it's just like the little things like that that make this movie so good and such, in my opinion, a really accurate reflection of that feeling of like a summer night, meeting somebody new. My favorite feeling in the world is that feeling of like a summer night when you're in high school or traveling to a new city and you're just with somebody that you're just so present in the moment and you never want the night to end. I've never seen a movie capture that feeling as well as Before Sunrise. My next film recommendation is a little bit less romantic. It is Gone Girl, which is a murder mystery following, what are the characters' names? Nick and Amy. Just The most boring ass white names you can think of. On Nick and Amy's 5th wedding anniversary, Amy goes missing, and the movie tells the story from Amy's perspective and Nick's perspective as Nick tries to find out where his wife went, but also avoid allegations that he is the murderer. It not only tells the story of this murder mystery, but also the story of a relationship that seemed so perfect and idyllic from the outside and slowly disintegrated. I wanted to read you guys my favorite quote from this movie. I didn't want to spoil like the plot twist in the middle, so I'm just gonna read it out loud. Men always say that as their defining compliment, don't they? She's a cool girl. Being the cool girl means I'm hot, brilliant, funny woman who adores football, poker, dirty jokes, and burping, who plays video games, drinks cheap beer, loves threesomes and anal sex, and jams hot dogs and hamburgers into her mouth like she's hosting the world's biggest culinary gangbang while somehow maintaining a size 2. Because cool girls are above all hot. Hot and understanding. Cool girls never get angry. They only smile in a chagrined, loving manner and then let men do whatever they want. Go ahead, shit on me. I don't mind. I'm the cool girl. And trust me, Rosamund Pike does a much better job of saying that in the movie. For so long, I have tried to be the cool girl, and that movie was the first time I had ever heard that really put into words. I felt like I could never stand up for myself because I was trying to be cool. And God forbid I be labeled like an annoying crazy girl. It's exhausting and infuriating sometimes to try to be cool and hot and chill and caring but not nagging and available but not too available, and like, sometimes it's just exhausting. For that passage alone, this movie's worth watching. It's also a fascinating murder mystery, lots of twists and turns. Give Gone Girl a watch for a murder mystery with a side of feminist contemplation. My favorite combination. Our next film is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This movie has a very pretentious title, but I promise it's actually a really good film, and I like to call it the Inception of rom-coms. It's very trippy, but it also has a lot of authentic stuff to say about love, I think. So this film follows a couple, Joel and Clementine, and after they break up, Clementine decides to erase Joel from her memory using this memory erasure service, and Joel is so heartbroken that he decides to do the same and erase their entire relationship from his memory. As the memory erasure process is going on, he realizes that maybe he wants to remember the relationship after all, and so he has to fight through his subconscious to try to save it. I first watched this film after a breakup, and I feel like a lot of our first instincts after a breakup is to be like, oh, fuck that person, like, I never loved them. Let me delete all our memories together. Let me delete all our photos. I'm gonna block their number. And watching this film really helped me come to terms with the fact that you can love somebody and it cannot work out, but you can still really cherish those memories. I don't know, it taught me to appreciate my relationships for what they are, even if they don't last forever. Next up, we have Snowpiercer. This film follows a post-apocalyptic society that is encapsulated on this train that circles the globe on a never-ending track. You guys might sense a theme in my recommendation so far, but this is another allegory for capitalism. Lower class people are kept in the back of the train, they're fed cockroaches, they're basically herded around like cattle, and as you move forward through the train, people become higher and higher class, and they get more of the resources, and then at the very front, there is the conductor, who is the original inventor of the train. So this film follows this rebellion of the lower class people as they travel up through all of the train cars and try to take over the captain's cabin. This is one of those adventure films that I could not look away from. I was glued to my seat the entire time. There are lots of twists and turns, some of them very disturbing. My favorite thing about this film is the pacing and how each little cart in the train is like this new world that they unlock. It's like playing a Mario video game or something. Like each cart is a new level with a new theme to it, and it really keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. So that's all I'm gonna say about that, because if I say more, I will give it away, but definitely give it a watch if you're looking for an adventure film. Next up, I gotta hand it to Inception. You guys have probably all watched it at this point, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but when Inception came out, I watched that movie at my birthday party. I would show it to anybody who came over to my house. I probably watched it 10 times in the first year that it came out, and that is really the movie that got me into film enough to go to film school. So I owe it all to Christopher Nolan. Next up, we have Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise follows two small town friends named, could you guess it, Thelma and Louise. Their trip starts off fun and lighthearted until at a bar, a man tries to rape Thelma and Louise shoots and kills him. From there, it becomes a chase movie as Thelma and Louise try to evade the police. It is embarrassingly rare to find a film about female friendship and with well-written, dimensional female characters, but this movie is it. Both characters have really interesting character arcs. Thelma goes from a meek housewife to really coming into her own as this free and independent and badass badass woman. She gets to fuck Brad Pitt. It's really like kind of a coming of age film for women, but it's like, instead of being a teenager, they're like adult women coming into their own. So I love this film. I got so attached to the characters, I cried at the end, which really does not happen often in films for me. I would really recommend giving it a watch. Like I would with all of these films. That's the theme here. Speaking of films starring women, next up we have Brooklyn. This is a film that takes place in the 1950s and follows an Irish immigrant played by Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse Ronan? Still don't know how to pronounce her name, but she is a great actress. It follows a young Irish girl who moves to Brooklyn in the 1950s as she deals with homesickness, a new job, finding herself. I normally hate historical fiction so much. I find it so boring. Like, come on, my attention span has been shortened to 5 seconds thanks to Instagram. Give me some action. But to my surprise, I really related to this damn 1950s Irish girl, because when I first watched this film, I was in my dorm at UCLA and I had recently moved all the way from my small town in Maryland out to LA. I was feeling lonely and lost and confused, and it made me feel like I had somebody to relate to when I was just a youngin' in college trying to figure out what the hell LA was. Next, we have Love, Rosie. This is an embarrassing one to put on my list because it is so cheesy, and I think it's the only film on this list that is negatively rated on Rotten Tomatoes. Love, Rosie follows Alex and Rosie, who have been best friends ever since they were kids, but they keep missing their chance to be together even though they like each other. It follows them from like age 18 to when they're adults as they keep missing those opportunities in classic rom-com style. This movie, like, there's no real redeeming qualities other than Sam Claflin and Lily Collins being hot as fuck. It's just a cheesy ass rom-com, but I love it, especially because I first watched it when I was in high school and I always had a crush on my best friend in high school. So I would watch this film and like project on my friend romance fantasy onto the characters, and it made me feel good about myself. I do have one animated film on my list, and that is Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is an animated film directed by Wes Anderson, and it is personally my favorite Wes Anderson film. It's based on the Roald Dahl book of the same name, and it follows a middle-aged Mr. Fox who is a retired chicken hunter, and he wants to go on one last adventure, stealing from all of the 3 big farmers in his neighborhood. Okay, apparently I cry to a lot of movies, actually. I cried to this movie too. Yes, I cried about animated foxes, okay? But the animated fox was voiced by George Clooney. What was I supposed to do? I really relate both to Mr. Fox, who is this middle-aged burnout who's trying to pursue his passion, and also his son, who's this kind of misfit, weirdo little fox. Any movie that has like a misfit character, like, gets me in tears because of my sad, lonely child complex. Also, the animation in this film is an absolute marvel. It's all claymation, so they literally sculpt clay into every single frame of the film. This stuff takes years to make with a ton of animators. There are 24 frames in a second, and they had to manipulate clay for every single frame. Crazy. Wes Anderson is also known for having this very dollhouse, quirky style, and I think it translates really well into animation since he can create these sets that are very symmetrical, and he can do some interesting shots that he can't do in real life when he has animation on his side. So definitely worth a watch for cinematography and also just for feelings. My next film is The Social Network. The Social Network retells the story of Mark Zuckerberg when he drops out of Harvard to create Facebook, and how it grew from this little idea that he had when he was like 20 into a billion-dollar company, and the lawsuit that ensued with his co-founder. Now, normally I avoid films that are based too closely on a real life human being because I feel like they try so hard to be historically accurate that then it creates a really boring movie because, you know, real life doesn't have perfectly timed plot twists and subplots that close up. But Aaron Sorkin, who wrote the screenplay for this film, did a really great job of kind of twisting the facts so that it would create a cohesive and interesting and exciting film. Even though it's not the most historically accurate, I really appreciate that because it tells a story, which is what a movie is supposed to do. I love Aaron Sorkin's writing as well because it's very like fast-paced and witty. You guys know me for being a fast fucking talker. Jesse Eisenberg in The Social Network, nearly as fast. Probably my favorite scene in all of cinematic history is the opening scene of The Social Network.
Don't have to study, you don't have to study, let's just talk.
I can't.
Why?
Because it is exhausting. Dating you is like dating a stairmaster.
All I meant is that you're not likely to... Currently. I wasn't making a comment on your parents, I was just saying that you go to BU. I was stating a fact, that's all, and if it seemed rude, then of course I apologize.
I have to go study.
You don't have to study.
Why do you keep saying I don't have to study?
Because you go to BU.
I have watched it so many times on YouTube, like over and over and over again, and the dialogue is just incredibly written. after I finish recording this, I'm gonna go and watch The Social Network again because just talking about it, got me going. I need some good Aaron Sorkin dialogue in my life. A really wholesome coming-of-age film is About Time, which follows a law student who discovers from his father that he has the magical skill to go back in time. Instead of using it for some crazy Back to the Future type shit, he uses it to help out his friends and to aid his romantic life.
I love your eyes.
Do you?
I love the rest of your face too. Haven't even looked further down, but I'm sure it's all fantastic.
What I like about this film is, even though there is a solid rom-com element, it's not just about the romance, it's also about life in general. And the ending philosophy of the film is you don't even have to be able to travel back in time to try to make your life perfect and to fix all your problems. As long as you live each day in the moment, it's as if you were able to time travel because you'll know that you've lived each day for all it's worth. Wholesome! I told you it was super wholesome. I have yet another rom-com. Clearly I have a soft spot for them, but I love La La Land. Emma Stone plays an aspiring actress.
You either follow my rules or follow my rules. Capiche?
Thank you.
I can do it a different way.
No, that's fine. Thank you very much.
And Ryan Gosling plays a very stubborn but passionate jazz player who wants to open his own club. And the movie is about them pursuing each other and also pursuing their passion and how it's hard to balance the two, especially when you're young and a hopeful in Hollywood. That was a really bad explanation of La La Land. I hope you guys have watched the trailer because I fucked that up. I have to say, I understand why at the Oscars people were like, this is the whitest movie that's ever existed. Like, it is so non-consequential. La La Land is definitely like jerking off people who work in Hollywood. It is a script written for producers in Hollywood who want to read jokes about Hollywood. But being a film student and living in LA, I love seeing like the energy of all these young, hopeful people trying to make it in Hollywood just like I was. And it made the drudgery of interning for free 30 hours a week a little bit less hopeless. Speaking of interning, actually, I used to intern for the producer of La La Land. I only got one chance to meet him since he was a very busy man. So like a month into my internship, my supervisor was like, it's time for you to meet Gary. So I went over to his office and I'm like, hi, I'm Ashley the intern. And he's like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom. Man's had to pee. So then he went to the bathroom and I just like waited outside the bathroom for him to be done. And then when he came out, I introduced myself and we had like an incredibly awkward 30-second exchange because I just felt so bad that like I heard him pee. Really nice guy, really smart guy, but really bad timing on my part. Anyways, even though La La Land has absolutely no social commentary at all, I really like the film. Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling are very charming, and I like the message that sometimes you have to give up your relationship or your dream and you can't have both of them, because that's like the modern reality, ain't it? Apparently I really just like rom-coms with sad endings, but that's what happens when you've been broken up with a lot. My last film is just a fun one, and it is The Room, which is reportedly the worst film ever made. I couldn't give you a synopsis of this movie if I fucking tried. I don't know what it's about. It's like Sharknado, but worse because there's no plotline whatsoever.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hey, Johnny, what's up?
The Room is one of those films that you really gotta see in theaters because, oh boy, is an experience. Similar to Rocky Horror Picture Show, there are like things that the audience yells at the film, basically to make fun of it because it's so bad. So every time the camera is out of focus, you yell focus. Every time you see like a stock image of spoons, you throw spoons at the screen. There's a lot of other like witty jokes that people in the audience yell at the screen. They have a lot of screenings in LA. They do it in New York too, and I think a couple other major US cities. So if you are traveling to a major city this summer, I'd recommend going to see it in a theater. It's like a really fun time and a really unique experience. Oh, also fun fact, I met Tommy Wiseau. He's a weird dude. Alrighty, those are all of my favorite films. Yeah, I really hope you guys watch these movies. I feel like they really shaped who I am, even though that sounds very cheesy. This set of movies is the reason I went to film school and the thing that I hold on to that I like love about Hollywood. Even I don't love that much about Hollywood. Hollywood's kind of trash and full of nepotism and cocaine, but these films are all works of art and they keep my hopes alive as a young, recently graduated film student. So yeah, let me know your recommendations down below because Lord knows I need to watch something instead of the 76 Marvel movies that are coming out this summer. I'm gonna stop rambling now. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!